Hey all, Kunik here, back with two D&D horror stories today actually. A bit of a 2-for-1, as I have two different D&D stories, or at the very least tabletop stories to cover here. And as usual, both of those will be in the description of this video. So, without further ado, let's get on with the first story. Roll for initiative. Guy we didn't know well was playing with us, and he had a not-so-subtle crush on me. I was the only girl in the group. He had been sort of flirting with me outside of the game, but I pretended not to notice. It was really awkward when he started doing some really shady things, like touching my character, being protective of her, and honestly, it's just a bad vibe when you're the only girl. I wanted to quit when he started talking about playing with my hair in-game, in a really slow and methodical way. But then the DM suddenly had our ship invaded by pirates, and we had a fun session. DM pulled me aside afterwards and said, "Hey, sorry about that, I'll go talk with him. Are you feeling okay?" And he did. I don't know exactly what he did, but he got the creepy guy to stop asking me out both in game and real life. Never asked him what he did, but life got 200% better after that. Felt really comfortable staying in the group after that, since I didn't even need to say anything for the DM to be like, "Okay, bad. Also, are you okay?" After that, some more girls who were friends with the DM joined, and he admitted later on, after many drinks and like a few months, that he invited them so I'd feel less like the only girl there. And it made tons of differences too. Creepy guy eventually left by himself. So I guess horror story, but it went well? Honestly, I just never want to see anyone trying to flirt through D&D. It makes social interactions really awkward. Alright, and on to story number 2. I posted a comment about this in a thread, so I thought I would try to write the full story. Context: I'm a girl, as was my character. It was many years ago, but a good friend said he wanted to DM us a one-shot, so we all made characters and started playing. I made a rogue. He separated us and told us what we were doing before joining the party. When it was my turn, he takes me to a room and tells me that my character is waking up in a ship after being raped by 20 pirates. Sometime later, I came to know that this person, my supposed friend, was interested in me, even though I was in a relationship. But I digress. So, after waking up in that situation, I tried to laugh it off and move on. He apparently didn't like this and got mad at me. The story moves along, and we infiltrate into this mansion. Being a rogue, I scout ahead before being stabbed by a random enemy that appeared out of nowhere. Maybe he got a great stealth check, fair enough, but he didn't even roll to hit. After being hit, he described that the blade had a very strong poison which immobilized me. No con/fortitude save either. At this point, I asked how long I would be out of the game, and he said, "Forever. The enemy will grab you and take you to his lair for you to be his prisoner." So I stood up and made myself a tea, since I was completely out of the game. The session finished shortly thereafter, thankfully. The bad thing is that I was young and naive and thought that was what D&D was all about. So it wasn't until many years later that I realized what had happened was not okay. As a final note, I stopped contact with this friend when he told me, "I know what's best for you, and that is to be with me. Good riddance." End posts. Oh boy, so you can see why I joined both of these two stories together. They were very similar in what happened in them, but with two totally different conclusions to them. Story 1 kind of had a happy ending where the DM sided with the player and brought in more people to make her not feel so, singled out like this. Whereas in game 2, the problem was the DM, and yeah, that's kind of like a worst case scenario for definitely for a new player, but for any player in general. So yeah, there's not much of a moral to say here. Don't do this. Like, it's common sense. Don't be a creep. And if you see anyone being a creep in one of your games, maybe take the person who's being creeped on aside outside of the game and just check with them to see if they're cool with it. Because if they are, maybe that was the whole plan. But if they're not, well, something probably should intervene so that it doesn't, progress to this kind of a level. Anyhow, that's all for these posts. Like I said earlier, the source of both of them is in the description of this video, so if you want to go take a look and see what other people were saying regarding the situations, by all means, go ahead and do that. And if you liked the video, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button as well to help us out with the YouTube algorithm, it'd be greatly appreciated. And then subscribing while you're at it, definitely also greatly appreciated. But with that said, Hope you all enjoyed the video again. And yeah, shoot me up in the comments below if you'd like to talk D&D or any other tabletop games.